India is the world's largest tea-drinking nation. A cup of tea is the country's most abiding passion that unites more than 1 billion plus Indians from all corners of the country. I'm here in the middle of India's best-known tea-growing region. And from here, I'm going to take you on a journey to discover more about the life of chai. What may seem like just another ordinary cup of liquid is actually a way of life in India. It wouldn't be wrong to say that the garma garam chai is today a big part of our Indianness. In a country where the guest is treated as a god, it is a cup of tea that greets this god when he steps from the threshold into our living room. But India is not alone in its love for tea. The drink of the gods also has an important place in other countries as well. Japan is known for its extensive tea drinking ceremonies, as is China, where tea drinking is almost like a ritual. But what makes the Indian tea unique is the diversity of its flavors and preferences, and the different ways that we have of making it. In January 2013, tea production in India hit the 1 billion kg mark. This was 75 million kg more than the estimate of 988 million kg. With this milestone, tea producers in India proved that they could comfortably manage India's domestic demand and still have big export surpluses. A country that is the world's largest tea producer, India has mainly 3 tea-growing regions. Assam, the Nilgiri Mountains and Darjeeling provide for the needs of the whole Indian peninsula, apart from a sizable export surplus that is much in demand in the West. A 4-hour road journey from Bagdogra Airport takes me to the lush tea gardens of Darjeeling. It's a breathtaking journey, filled with acres and acres of the hardy tea shrub. I feel like I'm at the source of a great river, at the Gangotri of all the chai that flows in the veins of us Indians. It is almost close to sunset, and soon the hills of Darjeeling will be covered in a blanket of darkness. The northeastern regions of India, especially the hills, experience an early sunrise compared to the rest of the country. So if you're coming from the south or northwest India, you might have to make an effort getting used to the light here. Darjeeling is covered in tea leaves, as far as the eye can see. I can only give you a sense of the aroma that the air here contains. I feel like a whole new person after coming here. I begin my journey in the life of chai from the Happy Valley Tea Garden, which is one of the most centrally located tea gardens of Darjeeling. I would highly recommend a trip to Happy Valley if you're ever here in this lovely hill station. It is one of the mid-sized tea gardens of the region, where hundreds of tea workers begin their mornings by handling these magical leaves. Tea from here is also marketed to the whole world under the name of Darjeeling tea. According to international laws, Darjeeling is a trademark that can only be used for teas coming from this accredited area. The Tea Board of India, set up under the Tea Act of 1953, has been looking after such trademark issues, especially in the international market.
Darjeeling tea was being blended with other inferior quality tea and was sold as Darjeeling. So this was not only tarnishing the image of the Darjeeling tea, the consumers also were not getting the product of the prices worth. So what we did was, we lobbied with the central government, and the government of India came out with the Geographical Indication Protection and Registration Act in 1999, by virtue of which 87 gardens within the district of Darjeeling has been identified whose produce can be sold as Darjeeling tea. This is so far as the domestic policing of the industry is concerned. Then we took up with the European Union, because once Darjeeling tea imported and left Indian shores, we had no control. And out there also, the foreign importers who were unscrupulous, they used to blend inferior quality tea and sell the produce as Darjeeling. So we lobbied over a period of 5 long years with the European Union, and last year the European Union has come out with a notification under Article 510, which states that Darjeeling tea will be sold in the name of Darjeeling in its original form, and it cannot be blended with any other inferior quality tea.
Most of the tea picking work is done by women. On the face of it, plucking tea leaves seems like a very simple task. But it needs a keen hand-to-eye coordination. This is necessary for collecting a minimum daily yield of leaves. Many of these women have been working here for generations, and so they have gained an amazing mastery, especially with regard to the speed and ease of using their fingers to pick the leaves. Most of the women have been working here since they were very young. But as tea picking is a job that involves a fair amount of seclusion, it is not surprising that they remain shy and withdrawn, especially in front of outsiders like me.
आप हमको बताइए, आप कब से यहाँ पे टी गार्डन में काम कर रही हैं?
15-16 साल हो गया।
क्या सबसे अच्छी चीज लगती है यहाँ पे काम करने में?
काम करने सभी चीज अच्छी लगती है।
सभी चीज में क्या क्या इंक्लूडेड है?
यहाँ चाय पत्ती तोड़ना और के भन्नु अरू।
मैं ये जानने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि ये जो काम है इसमें आनंद आता है, आपको कैसा आनंद आता है?
अब आनन्द त अब कस्तो आउँछ भन्नु, अब ठिकैको है।
8 घंटे में आप पत्ती तोड़ती हैं, ठीक है, और कोई काम नहीं करती हैं, हाँ, तो वो काम थोड़ा बोरिंग हो सकता है। इसलिए आप अपने आप को बहलाने के लिए क्या करती हैं? गाना गाती हैं या कुछ और रेडियो लगाती हैं, क्या करती हैं?
नहीं, दोस्त लोग है ना, उससे बातचीत करके हमारा समय होता है।
Lot of leaves have been collected since these women began their shift early in the morning. And it's time to see what happens to the leaves once they're taken indoors. High standards of cleanliness are maintained inside the factory. And this is where the first step of the transformation of the tea leaf begins.
The tea picking process begins at about 8 in the morning, and by 11 o'clock, these people have their baskets full of tea leaves. And they come here and deposit about 4 to 5 kgs of tea leaves for the first process of collection and sorting, and then the leaves go in for the process of withering.
This is done to take out the excess moisture from the leaves. This partial drying ensures that the leaves don't break too easily during the next step.
For most of us, having our morning cup of chai is a time of peaceful, calm and repose. But the actual tea making process is full of noise. As you can see here, this is the first of the various processes involved in tea making, and it's called withering, where the tea leaves are laid out on troughs like these, and air is passed from underneath the troughs to dry up the leaves just a little bit, so they are ready for the next process, which is rolling. After the leaves have been withered, which we saw in the troughs upstairs, they are conveyed through the chute into this rolling chamber, and the process of rolling begins. Please tell us what exactly is happening here.
Here we roll the leaves to make it twist.
Okay.
To make it twist, so that we can get more leaf grades.
After the tea has been rolled, it goes into a process called fermentation. After it's been fermented, it comes to this drying chamber. Now the temperature in the drying chamber is maintained at about 130 degrees centigrade, which is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The tea leaves are conveyed into this chamber, and then with the help of a conveyor belt, they're transferred onto the sheets inside.
In the old days, huge drying machines were used for the final drying of the leaves. Some of these machines are still kept in the factory to show visitors how things were done in the days before electrification.
In the early days, when tea drinking was still a small phenomenon, people used to dry the leaves in the sun and crush them using their hands. Later on, when industrialization dawned upon Europe, they started making machines for the same purpose. Mr. Das here is going to explain to me what this machine was used for.
This machine is used for heat generation. Actually, in tea drying, there is two part of machine is there. One is dryer and one is heater. Heater, that will generate heat, and we are using those heat. We are using those heat for hot air generation, right. And hot air will dry the entire tea. Earlier, in early days, people are using firewood for heat generation. Now we are using coal. Somebody is using gas also.
First, the dried leaf will go there. We will make them heap over here to make it cool. Spread it. Then we will bring the leaf here.
This is also dust.
After drying, the leaves pass through the sorting and grading machines. This process separates the different types of leaves, beginning with the big, mostly unbroken leaves. And then, finally, the tea leaves come here to be tasted. Tea tasting determines both the quality and the final worth of the tea. The bigger the leaf, the more expensive it is going to be. The test of the brew takes place on this table. Tea tasting is a very important part of the business.
Now this is the final stage when the tea has been brewed and put for a few minutes for 5 minutes to brew according to this hourglass over here. And we've got a lovely grading of different leaves from the finest to the not so fine. Can I taste now?
Yes, you can taste.
Okay. Just show me how to do it.
Take a cup of tea like this.
Okay.
Then you
The key to tasting tea is not drinking the whole thing, but just swirling the decoction in your mouth and keeping it there for a few seconds and then spitting it out.
Many foreign and domestic tourists also come here to witness the journey of the leaf, from the garden to the teacup. In fact, many of them come here exclusively for the purpose of walking around the tea gardens and sampling different brews. This trend is giving rise to a unique type of tourism known as tea tourism. For example, Sally and Hugh have come here all the way from England to see how their favorite Darjeeling tea is made.
The English are big tea drinkers, and you guys are from England, so what did you think about this place?
Oh, we loved it. I never realised how tea was made. It's very, it's informative of letting you know the process from which leaves they pick and then how they roll it, dry it, and all the way up to the packaging. So it was good to learn that.
What about you? What have been your experiences of the place?
I absolutely love tea, so it's really impressive just to see it in person. I never have anything like this in England, so it's lovely to see it in the real thing. It's interesting to know that's from Harrods, because that's in England as well.
Yeah.
So when I'm in Harrods next, I'll check it out.
While the term Darjeeling is used for the tea coming out of the hills of Darjeeling, there are many kinds of Darjeeling teas. The most surprising thing is that all the different types of Darjeeling come from a single plant. What makes a difference is the soil, temperature conditions and rainfall the plant receives in the season before harvest, as also the size of the final dried leaf. We are here at the Tea Research Association that has been trying to better the quality and yield of tea in the region.
At present, the biggest problem as a whole in this industry is that drought. Drought creates a lot of problem, technical problem as well as commercial problem. Drought basically in the tea growing belt, it starts from November onward. November, December, January, February, March, and if you are unlucky, it can continue even up to June also. And surprisingly, the best quality tea comes from February onward. February, March, April, May.
The beauty of the tea shrub is that once planted, it can go on yielding quality leaves for more than a few centuries. The best part is that unlike other cash crop, tea doesn't require any replanting after harvest. The present crop here was planted in the mid-19th century, and it has continued to provide a valuable cash crop for more than a century and a half. Darjeeling tea is one of India's finest exports. It is the equivalent of the best champagne France has to offer. Its global positioning is better than any other teas from anywhere else in the world. India is also the world's largest tea producer that has an annual turnover of 10,000 crore rupees. The other side of this fact is that India is also the world's biggest tea consuming country. That is perhaps why among the tea exporting nations of the world, India ranks fourth after Kenya, China and Sri Lanka. Out of all the tea that is produced in India, the best is exported. This is largely because tea drinkers in India have a clear bias towards the hard-boiled milk chai, rather than the delicately flavored tea that is appreciated in the West.
You have also observed differences in the states, region-wise, how people consume tea. Can you tell us something about the pattern of tea drinking?
Well, this is a habit like if I cite an example of Punjab here. Punjab, the housewives who make tea, who makes tea, they want to see the danas on the strainer, the grains on the strainer. So if they can't see that, then it's not acceptable to them.
Okay.
Similarly, Bihar, they prefer for the dust grade. They want more karak chai.
Away from the main city is the Sangma Tea Estate, which is one of the 87 internationally recognized tea gardens of Darjeeling. Owned by the Birla Group of companies, this is one of the bigger tea gardens.
After a long and bumpy ride downhill from Darjeeling, we are here in a place called Sangma Tea Estate. It's one of the bigger tea estates of the area, and the produce is sent to many European countries, and Japan is one of their bigger markets. Let's go inside and see what's so special about the tea here. This is a whole mound of tea over here, and this is the tea which has just come out of the dryer. It's the coarsest form of tea leaf. Now this is going to go to the sorting machine, which is right behind me. The sorting machine will take out different grades of tea leaves and separate them in different chambers.
Driving on the up and down hill roads, I can see how widespread tea plantations are in these parts. Since the tea shrub is pruned every year, it doesn't grow more than 3 feet in height. This allows for an unobstructed view of the hills down to the valley below. Watching the leaves that make my mornings, I am really blown away. Up until now, I didn't have a clue how much feeling and beauty goes into the simple act of plucking tea leaves. This kind of a working life is difficult to find in the plains. Some of these women have tried to make a life in the bigger cities, but the call of the tea gardens brought them back.
अपने घर में रहकर ये काम अच्छी तरह से कर सकती हूँ। शहर में अलग होती है,
नई जगह होती है,
तो थोड़ा मुश्किल भी होती है।
There is, however, another aspect of the tea industry that seems out of place in our day and age. Though the tea from the gardens is auctioned to international buyers at very high rates, almost like the price of silver, tea from the estate sells for anything between 1,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees per kilogram. This is in stark contrast with how much the workers get paid here. I was surprised to learn that the plantation workers' daily wage is fixed at a mere 90 rupees. This when the minimum wages set under schemes like Manrega are at least 100 rupees.
Actually, what I understand, this is a little misconception among the people. We are talking even the basic wages, which goes directly in form of a cash, which is paid on the day-to-day basis. But besides that, in the case of the tea, there are a lot of components, which is the basket of the wages as a complete. Those compensatory benefits are like free housing, drinking water, health benefits for the workers, their dependent, then the almost you can say the free ration. If we combine all together, that's a reasonably good amount. And besides that, the workers during the production season, they get a huge amount of incentives also. So, but if we go out of the tea garden world, people simply says that, oh, this is the amount, which is very meager in comparison to the national, whatever the minimum wages and whatever it's people gets in the cities and all.
Although at present there is no shortage of workers, the coming years may feel the pinch of a shortage, as not many tea garden workers would like to see their children working in the estates.
बच्चे पढ़ते हैं स्कूल में?
हाँ, पढ़ते हैं।
क्या आपके बाद वो लोग ये काम करना चाहेंगे?
नहीं।
क्या करना चाहेंगे?
पढ़ाई लिखाई, अब उनीहरूको अरू कामहरू।
लेकिन क्या आप चाहती हैं वो ये काम करें?
क्यों? नहीं।
लड़की आगे पढ़ के क्या करना चाहती हैं?
त्यो त हम नहीं मालूम है।
लेकिन आपको कुछ बताती होंगी क्या काम करेंगी वो? डॉक्टर बनेंगी या टीचर बनेंगी?
बनेंगी।
क्या बनेंगी?
डॉक्टर, यस्तै अब केही पुलिसहरू केही कामहरू गर्थे।
पुलिस में या डॉक्टर में?
This is a major shift from the past generations, who gladly followed in the footsteps of their parents. Now, many children of plantation workers are eager to seek a better life in the plains. But a tea garden worker's life isn't all that bad. A fair idea of how much happiness these women find at their workplace can be gauged by the smiles on their faces. I spoke to some of them during their lunch break, which is usually a time of light banter, great food, and of course some hot piping chai.
तो ये जो चाय है, चाय मशहूर है, दुनिया भर में जाती है दार्जिलिंग की चाय, हाँ। तो बाहर से जब बाहर का आदमी यहाँ का चाय का मज़ा लेता है, आपको मन करता है कभी बाहर जाने का?
करता है। पर अप जा नहीं सकता
नहीं जा सकता
क्योंकि हमारे पास पैसे भी नहीं होता है, इसलिए।
ज़्यादा मेहनत का काम है कि आसान काम है?
मेहनत भी है, आसान भी है।
मेहनत है भी है, आसान भी है। तो मेहनत कब होता है और आसान कब होता है?
जब पत्ती हामी प्लकिङ गर्छौँ, प्लकिङमा चाहिँ अलिक आसान हुन्छ। जब हामी विन्टर सिजनमा कलम काट्छौँ, कलम स्किपहरू गर्छौँ, त्यति बेला चाहिँ हामीलाई अलिक साह्रो पर्छ।
जब पत्ती प्लग करते हैं वो आसान काम है, लेकिन विंटर में कलम जब काटते हैं तो वो मुश्किल है। क्यों मुश्किल है?
क्योंकि हमारा बल जाता है ना ज्यादा, इसलिए वो मिलाना पड़ता है, कलम स्किप मिलाना पड़ता है, इसलिए।
A labor-intensive industry such as the tea industry depends quite heavily on its human resource. And when, in the future, this very human resource is likely to decrease, the gardens may have to think up of different alternatives to manual pickers. Darjeeling provides amazingly scenic views of the Himalayas. People have been specially attracted to the hills here because of the oldest train network that the place provides. Many Bollywood films have also been made in these beautiful locales. Like any other hill station in India, Darjeeling also has a mall road. Located on the mall road is Nathmal's Tea Bar. The company has been selling tea to tourists for more than 80 years. The tea bar is a jackpot for tea lovers. Here they can come, sip their favorite chai while looking at the breathtaking view of the Himalayas. A cup of tea here can set your budget back by 25 to 400 rupees a cup. Those who buy tea from Nathmal's can also order their preferred variety from their website.
This is a slightly relaxed place, a little more different ambience altogether, where we have some nice music. We have the facility of providing people to drink any tea they want. It is a lounge, and yes, along with tea, we like to provide them with some snacks. It just helps people buy their tea better. Everybody may like a first flush. Some people prefer a little bit of body. This kind of tea is nowhere. It's actually opposite to the Assam tea. Assam tea is a very strong character. Darjeeling tea, the tea itself is light in character. Even the color which is there, it's a little light in color, but it is the flavor which becomes stronger, with the quality getting better and better.
After savoring the glorious leaves of the Darjeeling mountains, we are headed to the plains of West Bengal. This is the region that provides for the staggering consumption of the kadak chai that's preferred by most Indians.
The tea that grows on the plains is slightly different in taste, aroma and flavor from the tea that is found on the hills of Darjeeling. Also because of the climatic conditions, one regularly needs to water the plants over here.
Compared to the hills, the leaves of the plains are bigger and tougher. The leaves here are used in making the CDC tea, which is an acronym of the method used in making this particular tea. And it stands for cut, tear and curl. CDC tea is much stronger than Darjeeling, and it is this type of tea that makes our national drink. In fact, those fixated on this leaf do not easily take to the lighter, more aromatic and more expensive Darjeeling. But that's how things are. Like in love, in matters of taste too, you really can't explain why you like one better than the other.
From Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Arunachal to Ahmedabad, the way we have our chai keeps changing, but the reason why we have it remains largely the same. Ekta cha deben. Thank you.
This is Siliguri's Simulbari tea estate. And this is in the foothills, where the temperature conditions are much like that of the rest of India. That is, long summer months interspersed by a short winter.
Out of all the tea that is consumed in India, a large part of it is what we call CTC, which is grown largely on the plains. What is the reason behind Indians' great affinity for this kind of tea?
You know, first of all, tea is a stimulating drink. Number two, if you take the cuppage, CTC, you get 300 cups in 1 kg of tea. So 1 kg if you buy at 300 rupees, then 1 rupee per cup.
Right.
And it's a good beverage, healthy, it's good for health, it's not detrimental to health. It's a health drink, and health drink you are getting health drink, stimulating drink, and a good beverage you are getting out of 1 rupee a cup. That's the main reason I think people they prefer this.
So it's cheap and it's also good for you.
Good for health.
It has great taste, which
Yes,
people have
yes,
been having for a long time.
The workers in the gardens of the plains were mostly brought by the British from Jharkhand. Today, these people have totally assimilated here. But their ties to the tribes remain strong, as tribal heroes like Birsa Munda are celebrated. The journey of tea has many tales to it. It contains elements of the soil where it is planted. It is nurtured by a particular kind of climate. But most of all, it brings to your table one of mankind's most important creations. It's almost like drinking the story of man's evolution.